Back to another episode of All Things MSP Live. We're going to have another great show tonight. Last week, I talked about the vision for this channel and some of the things I wanted to do. And this week, I'm carrying through with one of those promises, and that is more educational content. So tonight is a little bit special. It's a little bit different. We don't have a guest tonight. Guests will be returning next week. I think I've got the next two already booked, scheduled, and you'll see the announcements for those coming out soon. I am going to start posting these a little bit earlier so that people can plan a little bit better. Now, tonight's episode is about using the customer experience journey to work on your business. This is a framework that I've been working on for probably a couple of years. It's been noodling in the back of my mind, and I've really wanted to get this out in front of people so that I can help them build their businesses, not the way that somebody else tells them how to do it, but this is more of a way for you to figure out how to make changes in your business to have the effect that you want while still making it your business. All right, so we're during the pre-roll here. I do need to make sure that we are live on all the platforms. So give me just a second to do that. So let's see. Looks like we are live on YouTube. Awesome. So let me do my usual welcome YouTube. Put a little exclamation point on that. Make it a little more fun. And let's see. Oh, yeah, I don't have that window open. So let's see. Well, I don't see my comments window open. Because it's kind of important for me to see your guys' comments as we're going through this. There we go. Comments and reactions. Boom. Okay. Facebook, or sorry, not Facebook. YouTube is working. And so is Facebook. So that's good. Let's write a comment there. Welcome, Facebook. Make sure that comment works. Yep. And last but not least, let's have to refresh that page. Join live, mute myself because that always helps. And yes, we are live on LinkedIn. Let me just add a comment there. Oh, yep, perfect. Okay, so we are live on all three streams. You guys say that 5 times fast. And we still have about a minute 37 to go. And I really am excited about this topic tonight because it's something that I've been thinking about ever since I really learned about customer experience journey mapping. And I was always like, how do we use a customer experience map to take a better look at the MSP business as a whole? A lot of times we talk about sales funnels and things like that, and all of that stuff's great, but sales funnel only tells part of the story. And as a service business, I think it's extremely important that we concern ourselves with how customers feel at every point along the journey. And so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I actually have a very defined process. This isn't just theory anymore. I've actually put this stuff down on paper, and I've created a tool that I'm going to give you guys the link for. So you're going to be able to download that. I'll put it in the comments as we discuss it later on. It's actually it's an Excel spreadsheet. It lives in Google, so you'll just be able to download it, open it up in Google Sheets if you want to, but you won't be able to make any edits. So I recommend that you download the Excel. And you'll actually be able to use that to define your customer journey. And then once you've defined it, you'll be able to go in, score yourself on the different stages, and then be able to actually figure out what to work on next, which is the most important part. All right, we're down to 0. Let's do this thing. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to another episode of All Things MSP Live. Now, if you are there in the audience already, go ahead and let us know by putting a comment into the comment section of whatever platform you are watching us on tonight. Just so that you know, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and we are on LinkedIn. So whichever is your social media platform of choice, go ahead and use that one. If you happen to be on YouTube tonight, go ahead, give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you're not subscribed to us, go ahead and do that. And then, of course, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/all things MSP. That will lead you to the page, and then you can join the group as well. That's probably our biggest presence, right, is the Facebook group. That's how I started this community. That's where we continue to have the more important conversations. In fact, I was actually looking right before I started up the show tonight. We are at, I kid you not, 4,999 members. So who's going to be the 5,000th member of the All Things MSP Facebook group? It's going to be exciting. I don't know, but it's an exciting milestone for the group. And I'm really excited and very grateful that 5,000 of you almost have decided to join the group. Now, Keith, yes, you know how to comment because obviously you did, but thank you. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for being here. If you're new, go ahead and let me know in the comments that you're new. Give us a shout out. Let us know you're here. One of the reasons we do this is so that we can build community, and I want to know who's getting value from this and who's watching. So, a couple of things tonight. We just recorded it about an hour and a half ago, a promo for MSSP Alert Live. Now, this is something that is happening next week, October 9th through the 11th. It sounds like an exciting show. We are proud to be a partner with MSP Alert Live this year and look forward to all the great content that's going to be there. Unfortunately, I can't be there, but maybe we'll work something out for next year because I would love to attend shows like that and be able to create content for you guys from those shows. Now, speaking of, because I got to do the plug here, right? We are now looking for assistance, financial assistance in running this community. We're doing that in two ways. Number one, we have merch. So you can now buy a shirt, a hoodie, a puzzle, a coffee mug with the All Things MSP logo on it. So very simple. Just go to atmsp.threadless.com. And I'm going to go ahead and put some of those in the comments a little bit later towards the end of the show so that you have access to that. That's one way that, especially as you, just a regular community member, can support this channel. The other way is if you're a vendor, we have lots of different sponsorships available for vendors. We also, I want to say this, and I want to be clear because I really don't like the pay-to-play model. And therefore, we actually have a free vendor partner level as well. But we have sponsorships so that sponsorships, those vendors can buy those sponsorships and really step up and help to support this community. And in exchange for that support, you do get extra visibility in the groups, in the channels, as well as ad space and other considerations like content creation as well. So lots of different options. Would love to see, you guys help support this so that we can go out and do more, provide more valuable content to the community. Okay, I started that with the MSSP Alert Live. And here is that segment that I just recorded with a little more information about what's available at MSSP Alert Live this year. Hey everybody, welcome back to All Things MSP. We have something exciting. This is something we've never done before, and we're really excited to present this first opportunity of its kind to you, and that is an opportunity to attend MSSP Alert Live. We've actually partnered with them this year to bring you this special offer, and today what I've done is I've brought on Jessica C. Davis so that she can talk about what you can expect at MSSP Alert Live and some of the things that you'll get out of it, including some of the keynote speakers and things like that. So Jessica, if you just want to give us a a quick rundown of what MSPs and MSSPs can expect from MSSP Alert Live this year, that would be great.
Thanks so much, Eric. I'd love to do that. And my name again, Jessica C. Davis. The C stands for channel. Please say hi to me at the event if you come next week. It is October 9th through 11th, 3 days of content. And we're going to be starting out with some research in the industry, followed by, and I'm talking about the main stage presentations now, followed by Simon David Williams, who is the CEO of an MSSP. He's going to be providing a tour of somewhere where we're afraid to go, really, the dark web. I wouldn't go there without guidance for sure. But he goes there all the time and looks for people who he knows who have been, their information has been exposed, but he'll also take you through and teach you how to safely browse the dark web. So that'll be exciting. And from there, we're going to hear from Robert Chiaffi of Progressive Computing. He is he experienced an incident at his MSP, and he will take us through the minute by minute experience of what that was like and how he got through it and how it impacted his business and how he recovered from it and how his customers recovered from it and how the community came together. It's really a dramatic and fascinating story, and you know, tears will come when you hear Robert's story. It's going to be great. And then on Tuesday, that was on Monday on the main stage. On Tuesday, we have an official from CISA JCDC talking about RMM and the plan for best practices for MSPs for RMM going forward. And also we have Enable CISO talking about disaster preparedness plans. Are you rehearsing these plans, and what are the gaps in your plans? So everyone will want to be there for that because you don't want to be cut short when you have an incident. And then on the final day on the main stage, we have Abe Garver from Focus Investment Banking, which is an investment banking firm which specializes in MSP, M&A, and private equity investments. He's going to be talking about the trends of valuations in the market for MSPs. So if your company is looking to eventually exit, this guy's going to have the information that you're going to want to know about how to increase your valuation and also when's the good time to sell. So really excited about these main stage sessions that we have coming up next week. And also we have a ton of breakout sessions on cybersecurity, on improving your business, on specializing in vertical markets, just a lot of really great content, I have to say, since I programmed the show myself. So please come out and see us, introduce yourself to me as well. Would love to meet you.
Well, it sounds like all of this content is really geared around the MSP, because I know that we've had a lot of kind of separation between MSP and MSSP, but you're kind of bringing that all together and making it relevant to everybody, which I think is important, especially when it comes to this, which is really affecting our industry. And I think it's great that, you know, the topic around RMM, because that is such a volatile topic right now, because it is an entry point, right? It is a point of vulnerability. And I think it's really great that you have the CISO from Enable coming in, because, you know, they have 2 RMMs themselves. So great content, really appreciate it. And the link for people to register is going to be in this post or the comments section, wherever this video ends up, you know, where you see it. And then the code is right down at the bottom of this video. It's MSSP 23 all things MSP 100. It's kind of long, so I'll go ahead and put that in the comments as well, and make sure that you join, you know, all the great people that are going to be at MSSP Alert Live next week. Jessica, thank you so much for being here and sharing this with the All Things MSP community.
Thanks, Eric. It was my pleasure.
All right. So that was so much fun. Really do appreciate the things that MSP or MSSP Alert does. And I know from last year's experience that it was a really good show, and I expect it to be this year. By the way, that code actually gets you 100% off the admission to the show. So go ahead, use the code. And, especially, I know it's late notice, but if you're in the DC metro area, obviously it's an easy thing for you to do. But let's get on with the content. I do want to do one more. I do want to say, if you're here and you're watching, please go ahead and comment so that we know you're here. And by the way, if you have questions while I'm going over this content, go ahead and ask. This is an interactive forum. We can ask questions. We can, dive deeper into any of this that you want to. So without further ado, let me go ahead and pull up my screen share. There we go. Okay. So tonight's topic is, and this is following along the vein of me saying that I was going to provide more educational content. This is me fulfilling that promise. And what we're going to talk about tonight is using the customer experience journey to work on your business. And what I wanted to do here was really create a framework for somebody to go, you know what? I don't know what I want my business to look like. I don't know what I should work on next in my business. What do I do? How do I look at that and not just take somebody else's advice of, oh, you should work on this or you should work on that, because that's based on their experience. It's based on their business. And if I know anything about this business, it's that no single MSP is the same. We've actually gone through a period of time where, yes, we pushed standardization a bit, but that was more standardization around efficiency gains in consistency in stack, consistency in what you were using for routers and switches and all of that across your customer base, right? It's not about how you run your business compared to somebody else. One of the really cool things about this industry, about MSPs specifically, is that because we are a service-based business, we have the flexibility to deliver whatever services we want, however we want. And to me, that makes us very unique, because this industry of all of the different facets of technology and how our clients use that technology really opens the door for us to be or do a lot of different things. All right, so I got a couple of things here just to start out to give us an idea of why I did this customer experience journey thing, okay? So I figured out, definition is probably important here. Customer experience refers to how a customer feels about how a business engages with its customers every point of their buying journey, from marketing to sales to customer service and everywhere in between. Now, basically what this means is that we want to look at every stage that a customer may interact with our business at. And we want to know how they feel. Well, I know the question's there. Why do we need to care about why they feel? Well, in a service business especially, I think Maya Angelou said it best. She said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I really, if you can connect with people, if you can deliver your services and they actually have an emotional response to how you deliver on those promises, on those expectations, they're going to connect with you in a way that's going to make it not easy for them to leave. They're going to want to stay with you. And when you are talking about trying to build recurring revenue and build loyal customers and partners, that's what you're trying to do, is making them feel like they're part of something. And that's a little hint, because one of the stages in the way I would set up a customer journey is going to touch on that in a little bit, and I'll point it out when we get there. Okay, we've got a comment from Keith. He says, this is such a great topic. I often get asked why I'm so different, and I explain we are not. We deliver the standard stack and simply wrap services around customer service around those services. And I think I'm probably wrapping because of the size of the screen, but point well taken, right? Keith, we've talked about this several times on the show in the past, because you do run what appears to be a very different type of MSP, right? But when you break it down, you're delivering services. The difference is you're delivering services that, even though you have a stack that you use consistently, you're designing the solution around the specific needs of that client, making it much more valuable for that client. And because of that, you're commanding top dollar. And, a lot of people could learn from you. So, but that's your, that's the way you run it. And I think it's great. We've had several discussions at shows and things where you and I have, shared a drink. Well, you've shared a cigar. I don't, I love the smell of it, so I love hanging out with you, but I just don't smoke them myself. Anyway, that's why we use customer experience, because customer experience, the stages may be different. How you handle those different stages may be different, but the stages are all going to be there, right? There's always going to be stages in the life cycle. And that's what's important here is giving you a framework to work from. Okay, let me go back to, there we go. Now, another way to think about this is think about a sales funnel. A sales funnel is how you move a prospect to becoming a client. The customer journey is a little bit more than that. It's a holistic view over the entire life cycle of the client. So we're not just dealing with the sales portion and the marketing portion of this. We're looking at how a customer reacts to everything that we do across a much longer life cycle. Now, you can make this super simple, okay? You can break it down into 3 basic components, and they are get, do, and keep, because everybody has to get customers at some point. Now, maybe you get to a point where you stop getting customers because you're comfortable and you don't want to grow anymore, and that's fine. That's for you. But most businesses have to get customers from time to time because customers don't always stay. They have their own reasons for leaving that have nothing to do with the service that you delivered, right? So there needs to be some type of get motion. Do is the doing of whatever service that you're delivering that is going to get you paid, right? This is the part that gets you paid. You have to do that part. And then keep. There's always a certain aspect when we're talking about recurring revenue models of things that you have to do to keep your customers. So that's, in a nutshell, what you can think of this at a, let's say, 30,000 foot view. Okay. But that doesn't help us so much. Now, if you're just starting out, maybe you can get away with a get, do, and keep. But I suspect most people here are a little more further along in their journey than that. And so you need to break it down a little bit farther. Now, if it were me, I would break it down something like this. It's several stages, right? I think there's 9 stages here to my client journey map. And I'm specifically changing the wording here to client journey map because obviously we want to build clients, not just customers, right? It's kind of one of those pet peeves that I have, and I know not everybody feels that way, but that's just for me. And I point that out because it should be personal to you. One of the points of doing this is to make it so that it fits your business, not somebody else's. Okay. So we start up here with awareness. Awareness really comes down to, are you in the places that your audience hangs out? Okay. You couldn't see that. I used air quotes. So it's where your audience hangs out, where you can provide value so that when they have a problem that you solve, you've already been in their eyeballs. You've already been in their ears. Okay. Talking about those problems and the solutions to those problems. So online, this is going to look like Facebook groups, LinkedIn posts. It's going to look like blog articles. It's going to be partially your uh, your website, right? All of those things where your customers will see you. And then in person, it could be trade shows, it could be networking groups, it could be chamber of commerce meetings, anything like that. It's being present and delivering value where your audience's ears and eyeballs are. Okay? Pretty simple. Exploration is the next step here. Exploration is if they have the problem that you have the solution for, can they find you in order to solve that problem? Again, it's pretty simple and there's not a ton to this, right? It just means being findable on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on TikTok. Uh, but especially the number one component here is two things, I think, really. Number one is your website, okay? Because search engines, okay? Google is the biggest. If they use something else, great. But you need to be findable on whatever platform they're going to search for the solution to that problem on. Now, here is an addendum to that because it still has to do with search engines. How many of you know that YouTube is actually the second largest search engine? So even if you don't like creating video content, you need to be creating video content that you can put on YouTube because it's the second largest search engine. It's just kind of common sense. And it's so easy to create video today. Even you don't have to be on camera, right? You can create very simple videos either by recording a PowerPoint presentation or doing something in Canva, which I think I'm going to do a whole video on Canva at some point because they did some really cool things and it all ties in to what we're talking about here and being able to create this content and do some of the things, especially with the new AI features that they came out with that will dramatically make it easier and more efficient to create some of this content. But I digress. So that's exploration, is being found for the problems that you solve. Evaluation, another important step. It's a little bit different, but the platforms are kind of the same, right? This speaks more to the content that's on your website and the content that's on your YouTube channel and any content that you have elsewhere out there in the virtual world. Okay. So what this means is that you have content in all those different places that allows them to go, oh, these people are experts in my problem. They specifically sell a solution that's going to solve my problem. And therefore, you're going to come up as hopefully the first, but at least the first, second, or third, be in the top 3 of people that they consider the person or the company that can solve their problem that they're trying to figure out, that they've searched for, now they're evaluating for. Now, the next step, and this is kind of a whole different transition here, that's why I moved to circles, right? Is because, by the way, the difference here is, and I did it graphically for myself, the first 3 is really marketing, and those first 3, you may not necessarily have even had contact with those people. They're doing this all on their own. You've had no interaction. You don't get to drive or have another side of the conversation when we're talking about those first 3 stages. Okay, so conversion. This is the first stage where you're actually interacting with the prospect in a 2-way conversation. Okay, so during the conversion process, this is basically the sales process. Okay, so part of this is you need to have a contract, right? You need to have a contract. You need to have a sales presentation. You need to have something that you can present in a meeting. You have to have a process for getting those meetings. You have to have a process for following a lead through some type of process to either a closed lost or a closed won, or, some type of nurture stream, whatever it is. I'm not going to get that complex in this session because that's not what it's about. But there's a process around sales that has to be considered, has to be designed specifically to make the client feel good about their purchasing decision. And by the way, also make sure that you are getting those people moved through as quickly as possible so that they generate revenue as quickly as possible. All right. And Keith is commenting. Let me just throw this one up real quick. As you introduce prospects to education and awareness, they will often drop off once it turns to sales. Following up with interrupting the education process is my struggle. So yes, Keith, I think that's a very common problem, and education and awareness is a critical part, right? And this is something that a lot of people haven't figured out yet, is that the way people buy now is very, very different until you get up into the very large enterprise type sales, where you have very formal buying processes and stuff like that, which those still exist. But most commonly, people will go through this exploration and evaluation before they ever contact you. And so one of the things that you need to do is kind of continue on that evaluation process as part of your conversion process, right? I really think that conversion is going to contain some education as well, because you have to educate them. You have to kind of hook them in, show them that you can solve their problem before you actually go for the sale, right? It's just kind of common sense these days that people want to be educated. They don't want a high pressure sales thing. Now, as business owners, we know how important revenue is to us. So it is a struggle for us to figure out the common ground, but that's what looking at a framework like this will help you with. Is if you've determined that as a problem, then you can list several things that will help you with that problem, and then you can act on them. So that's the whole idea of looking at it in this way. Okay, onboarding. And I thought this session was only going to take a half an hour. Boy, was I wrong. Onboarding. Onboarding, and by the way, this is not just slides, folks. I actually have some live demo where I'm going to show you the worksheet that you would actually use to do this, and then the worksheet will be available as a download link. So stay tuned. Onboarding is very important because this is the step where you've sold them, but now you have to live up to the expectations that you sold them on. Okay? That's very important, because if early on you are missing expectations for your client, it can be devastating, because they can be put off very easily. They can get disenchanted very easily. So it's very important that you follow through with the onboarding from their point of view, their feels, right? To get off to a good start. Now, it's also important for you in your onboarding process to get a good start so that you have all of the information. You have all of the scope. You have everything you need to actually service them well and get them up to your standard of service level, right? Because that's something that has always been a struggle in this business. It's something that I've talked about a lot in previous conversations, is that onboarding is in itself a stage, because there's so much to it, so much to getting it right, that will pay dividends later as you're servicing this client over the long run. Okay, now we get into the do part, right? The do part is membership. And if you remember at the very beginning of this, I talked about making it personal. And this is one of my ways of making this very personal. I use the word membership very specifically because I want my MSP customers to feel like they are members of something, members of an exclusive club that get to work with me and, you know, handling the IT for their business, or working with my company for, you know, running the IT for their business. It's a mindset thing. It may seem a little bit silly, but it's the way I want my customers to think about my business. And therefore, that's why I name it that way. One of the beautiful things about using a framework like this, you can name that whatever you want. Just do it on purpose so that it makes sense to you and makes sense to your employees. Because, you know, the other important thing here is if you have employees, this needs to make sense to them. If you can't explain it to them, you're not going to be able to explain it to clients either. So keep that in mind. So membership there, that's just the doing of all the work that, you know, you're doing to keep your customers satisfied, safe, low risk, all those different things. Now, of course, during that time, as they're a member, there's some opportunity and there's some risk, right? There's the opportunity that something is going to go really, really right. They're going to love you. And by expressing that, one of the ways they're going to express that is they're going to talk about you. They're going to say good things to their peers about you. That's a really good thing. I put it in here as a stage, as a separate stage, because there are extra things that you should think about when you have people in that advocate bucket that you can do. And I hate to use the word capitalize. So I think maybe earlier I was talking, I used the word utilize, okay? You want to utilize them, make sure you're being purposeful to capture testimonials, client stories, referrals. Those are processes that need to revolve around that group of members that are so happy with you that they will advocate for you. Okay? So that's another one of my stages. Now, there's two stages we don't like to talk about, right? At-risk members and members that are going to churn. Okay? So at risk, you still have a chance to save them, right? Maybe something happened. There was a little bit of a confusion, a little bit of a hiccup, whatever it is, and now that member is at risk. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to have a process. First of all, you need a process to identify when somebody's at risk, right? Whether you use CSAT scores, NPS scores, I don't care what you use. My preference is NPS, but that's just me. But you have to have a way of identifying when somebody transitions from member to at risk. Okay. Then you can create a process around those at-risk members to get them back into membership. Or because this is a thing, right? If they're not a fit, which should have been figured out during the conversion process, right? But sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes they change. So that's a thing. If they're not a fit, you need to figure out how to efficiently move them from at-risk to churn so that you're not losing money on that client. So what you can see here is basically a stage to handle every point in the life cycle of a customer so that it's handled well. That's kind of what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to handle every situation, every point in the life cycle that's going to come up so that we can handle it well. Okay, so that is the end of my slides. So how does this actually work? Because that's important, right? This is where the rubber meets the road, is how does this work? Okay, so let me switch. Oh, not that one. There we go. Okay, so this is an Excel spreadsheet. And what I did here was I built this out based on me. You can just modify it to be based on what you guys want it to be in terms of your customer journey. But you can see across the top here, I have awareness, exploration, evaluation, all those different headlines, and I've made them pretty, color-coded them so that I can kind of keep track of the difference. And then down the side, you can do anything you want, right? But these are some kind of standard ones that will help you define what these stages look like and what you want the outcome of these stages to be. Okay. And how to track success or failure for these things. So probably the most important thing here is desired outcome. Okay. What do you want to happen at this stage? Okay. Now for awareness, there's no expectations for the client because they don't know you, right? But for you, you want to make sure that prospects are exposed to your messaging and learn more about the problems that you solve. Okay. Position yourself as an expert in the space. You could put a lot of different things here that are probably going to point in generically the same direction, right? And then personas. Who are the people, right? Who are the people involved with this? With the client, this is going to be pretty broad, right? It's going to be everybody involved with that client, from the CEO, the owner, the manager, whatever, all the way down to an individual worker who might have a certain problem with their laptop, and they go to their manager and say, hey, I saw this guy. He was on a local TV station talking about this problem that I'm having with this laptop. Can we call him? Okay. So a lot of different personas. As you move across, though, you're probably going to be dealing with more and more specific people. The reason we do this on the client side in terms of personas is so that you can better target the process or the messaging toward that specific audience, because they're going to have different characteristics, right? Now, when it comes to you, the MSP, your internal personas, there are going to be certain groups or certain people within your organization who are responsible for these different columns, who do work in these different columns. And we want to lay those out because when you're building, say, a new process around awareness, you want your marketing team involved if you have a whole team. If it's just one person or an intern, that's fine, but list them here so that you kind of have just a visual cue of everybody who's involved in that process. Now, I included this one. I haven't seen this one in anybody else's customer journey maps, but I like doing a SWOT analysis on just about everything. Okay. Knowing what your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats are for an individual stage in your customer journey can be huge, because it really lays out what you're doing well, what you're doing poorly in, where you have an opportunity, where there's a risk or a threat. List those so that you have a better understanding of what the internal and outside influences are around that specific stage. What does success look like? This is going to be a little more specific than the desired outcome, right? The desired outcome is intentionally vague because you want it to be more big picture. What does success look like? We're getting down more into metrics. Okay. What is the actual thing that's going to make that look impressive? So in the case of awareness on the client side, there's probably not one there, kind of like at the top. There's no expectation yet from the client. But for the MSP, it's how many likes do I get? How many comments do I get? How much engagement do I get with that content? Because that's going to give me an idea of how many people are actually seeing it and engaging with it. Now, once you know what that success looks like, you can talk about, okay, how is that measured? And we just mentioned, I kind of did just drop into that. It's the number of likes, the number of comments, the number of business cards that you collect from a networking event. Okay. All things like that. What are your KPIs? So what are your KPIs around awareness? What are your KPIs around exploration? Now, a lot of times there won't be a real KPI for some of these stages, and some of them are less important than others. So make sure you're gravitating to the more important ones, because KPIs you can kind of go overboard on. So make sure you're starting out simple. And once you've got those simple ones mastered, then move on to collecting more complex data, because the more you collect, the more you have to go over. And then next actions. If there's anything that you can think of that are next actions, things that you want them to do, whatever it is, you can include that. And of course, I even left some blank lines here so that you can add more things of your own, because I'm sure that you're going to have ideas And you need to add those ideas to this sheet because, again, I want you to make it yours, not just use what I have. And then down at the bottom here, I included something called the motivating question. And this is kind of the motivating question around just what is inspiring me to have this stage, right? So for awareness, is our messaging in front of our ICBs, our ideal customer profiles, ears and eyeballs, right? Can we be found if our ICP is searching for the problems we solve? Do we have sufficient content publicly available to show that we are the right solution to their problem? And it goes on and on, for things like, do we have a process for recognizing and dealing with clients that have issues with our service? Do we have a process for engaging and utilizing clients that are our biggest cheerleaders? Those map to, of course, all of the things that I talked about earlier when we were looking at the journey map. Okay, so this is the first tab in this spreadsheet. Then the next tab is a scorecard. Okay, now you can use this in a bunch of different ways. The first way I would use this is do a self-assessment. Where do you feel you are with awareness? How good do you think your awareness motion is? Same thing for exploration, same thing for evaluation, conversion, and so on. And then you can just look at this, and whichever ones are scoring a 1, those are the ones you want to work on first. Okay? Now, you can also use this later on to score yourself on CSAT. How do your customers feel about your social media presence? How do they feel about your website? How do they feel about your conversion process? And normally we only take CSAT like after a service ticket, right? But you can take, especially NPS, because it's one question, right? It's a very simple question. It's, would you recommend our services to a peer, to another customer? And you can use that to see where you figure in all of these stages. You can look at how much time it takes at each stage. Maybe you have people getting stuck in the evaluation stage. Maybe you have people getting stuck in the onboarding stage and you need to speed up your onboarding. So you can use this scorecard in a bunch of different ways to be able to evaluate where you are with each of these stages. Then, once you've figured out what to work on next by using the scorecard, then you can actually come to the worksheet and say, okay, I want to improve this. Okay, so you found your one thing. Your one thing, is the thing you want to improve here. And then you want to just jot down 5 different ideas. Okay, 5 different ideas for what you can do in order to improve that one thing. Okay, and then we're going to rate them across cost, impact, and speed to implementation. And I made this really easy. So creating blog articles and posting them in online groups where my ICP hangs out. This one has very low cost because obviously blog articles are free. Okay. Now they do have a little bit of a labor cost to them. They have a time cost to them, right? So I'm going to give that a 2 because this is really a combined cost of not just dollars, but also cost in time as well. Impact. I'm going to say that they probably have about a medium impact. Okay. And then speed, we can start doing those this week. So I'm going to say 1 week. So we get a score 10. Next one is create videos to post on social media. So that one is costs. I would say this one is actually even easier than blog articles because you can just pick up your phone and record a video. So I'm going to give that a 1. The impact, I'm going to actually give this a little bit higher impact of say, I think probably a 4. I'm going to be conservative. Personally, I think it's probably a 5. I'm going to say 4 to be conservative. Okay. And then for speed, I am going to give us, again, a 1 because this is something that we can do this week. Post paid social media ads. So this one is going to be obviously more expensive. the impact is going to be, I'm going to say it should be maybe a 4, but I'm going to give it a 3. And then number of weeks, I'm going to say this is going to take longer to set up because you've got to set up, Google AdWords. You've got to do a whole bunch of things to do this. So I'm going to give it a 4, just so you guys can better see how this scoring works. So it gives you a score over here. Everything's color coded. So obviously for this one, if I'm doing this, maybe I'm spending a little more time figuring some of these things out, but the next thing to do here is to create videos to post on social media, because that one scored a 12. Okay. So I hope that this has given you guys kind of some insight into a process, a methodology that you can use to work on your business. We talk about the E-Myth all the time and the difference between working in your business and working on your business. This is what working on your business looks like. And I know for a lot of us, I had to learn it the hard way, right? This did not come naturally to me. I came up with this framework after 17 years as a break fix and MSP owner, plus another 10 years, almost, it's getting close, of being on the vendor side of this channel and talking to lots and lots of other MSPs and learning more about customer experience and the customer experience journey and all of those different things. So I did promise that I was going to give you some links. So let me go ahead and post those now. It's going to take me a second because I got to post them in all of the different social media platforms. And I got to get some stuff out of the way here so I can actually see where I'm posting to. Actually, let me give this a little bit of a title first before I copy and paste this. I'm just going to call it Helpful Links. And select that and copy it. And let's see, LinkedIn, you're going to get lucky first. So, okay, why? Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, so there's all the links. I just put them in LinkedIn. Let me put them in Facebook. And last but not least, just because you're the third tab, not because I love you any less, onto YouTube. Oh, and YouTube is going to yell at me because it's too many characters. So I'm going to have to split this up a little bit. Oh no, I'm still too long. Okay, YouTube, you're just going to have to settle for getting it in the description later. Sorry about that. I should have copied and pasted these each individually. Which, you know what, maybe I'll do. I got a minute or two here. So here is the one for the worksheet. Okay, so there's that one. Here is MSSP Alert Live. And this link that they gave me, by the way, includes the code, so you don't need to add the code. Now this one is a very important one, okay? Because this is the one to our merchandise shop so that you can support us. So there's that one to threadless.com. And then last but not least, because we are getting towards the end of the show, if you just haven't had your fill of MSP live streams tonight, please go ahead and at 8 o'clock, go ahead and join Uncle Marv. Okay. So there we go. There's all of those. Thank you guys very much for joining me tonight. Next week, we do have Barb Poluskowitz, and we're going to talk about business empathy in cyber crisis. When she gave me this topic, I was like, yes. We're always talking about how to remediate, how to prevent, how to lower risk, all of these things about, all the cyber risks that we deal with all the time. What we don't talk about is how to treat everybody around us while we're working inside of a cyber crisis, right? So I thought this was a great topic. I can't wait to hear what she has to say on this topic. That'll be next week on the live stream at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then last, but certainly not least, I'll go into another shout out to Uncle Marv and the IT Business Podcast. He has Grace Judson on this week. Uncle Marv's podcast is always fun. If you have time, please join him at 8 o'clock. That's only 9 minutes away. How did I go so long on this topic tonight? I don't know. But anyway, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Don't forget to go ahead and like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Really helps us out. And, if you are on LinkedIn or Facebook, make sure you join the pages, the groups, all the different things there. We really do appreciate you. We are a community. That is first and foremost what we want to do, is discuss all of the topics, specifically the non-technical topics around being in this business. So thank you very much again, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great evening.